Get your questions in the chat. If anyone's got any questions, please do get your questions in. Gordon Reid, like I say, will be joining us about 9:15, a little bit later maybe. He went through today with Alfie Hewitt into the wheelchair final of doubles tomorrow, which will be on court number 1. So a real privilege to have Gordon on tonight. But to get started, let's start off with our major moments of the day. And where better to start than checkmate, I guess. You know, the first ever all Czech Wimbledon women's singles final in the Open era, the first all country major final at Wimbledon since the Williams sisters back in 2017, and also a guaranteed first time Grand Slam champion. It's the 10th different Wimbledon champion in the last 10 years. And it's the third Czech women's Wimbledon champion in 4 years. We had Vondrousova winning in 23. We had Krejcikova winning in 2024. And we are going to have either Karolina Mukova or we're going to have Linda Noskova as our champions on Saturday. I don't think many people would have picked it at the start. You know, we've been saying for years, Mukova is one of the best, if not top 3 player in the world. But can she stay healthy? You know, she didn't have a head-to-head record to be proud of against Coco Gauff. It wasn't a great matchup, is what everyone thought. But she started on fire today, 6-2 first set. And then Coco Gauff doing what she does. You know, she clawed her way back, won the second set 6-1. And then there was an absolute epic third set. And if you had the privilege of watching that and that tiebreak, both players felt the nerves. Both players had their opportunities. Coco Gauff had her match point at 9-8 in the tiebreak, had a forehand, went for the drop shot, a little bit of a brain fart. Nerves do get the better of people, even these best players in the world. We then had a 10-9 point where Karolina Mukova came forward, knocked a forehand volley away, we thought, and then she slipped. And then Coco passed her 10-all. And then Coco slipped a little bit at 10-all. Mukova played a great point. And then finally the match finished 12-10, 2 hours, 35 minutes. And yeah, absolutely fantastic. This season, you don't want to be losing the first set to Mukova. That's 28-0 she is on the year when she wins the first set. She's 11-1 on grass. She won Bad Homburg last week. And it is the first time that Coco Gauff's ever lost a match, having had match point in a pro career. So really, really interesting final. You know, if we take Mukova, she took Krejcikova out. She took out 4-time major champion Naomi Osaka and then Coco Gauff. So she's been beating all the major champions. And now she has her fellow countrywoman, younger fellow countrywoman. It's hard to believe Linda Noskova is only 21 years old. You know, only turned 21. We've been talking about her for years. She doesn't quite get the same hype as Marta Kostyuk's had over the last few weeks, you know, and she's actually younger than her, you know, and she took her out with not a lot of fuss today, 6-4, 6-4, 10-1 on the grass court season. She won the 500 title in Berlin, beating Jesper Guru in the final. So 2 informed players that got matches under their belt on the grass going into the event, which is very interesting. And she actually leads the WTA Tour on grass over the last 2 seasons, winning 18 matches. So grass courts seem to suit her. It's a first career Grand Slam semi-final, so certainly a first career semi-final win in a first career Grand Slam final. And yeah, beat Marta Kostyuk, who was absolutely one of the informed players, had won 21 out of her last 22 matches dating back to April 14th. And Kostyuk won earlier in the year in Madrid. So well done to Linda Noskova, who is also our tennis athlete player of the day. And I don't think anyone can blame our producer for picking that player of the day today. 21 years old. You know, she said after the match, I was a little nervous before the match. Usually when it's really, really important for me, I'm putting a little bit of pressure on myself, and that's when I play my best. Anyone watches Noskova play, it does look kind of effortless. She plays doubles every week. I see her a lot. I've scouted her a lot. And you kind of think, is she bothered? You know, but she is. And it's part of her vibe. She's an incredible tennis player and putting together a great career. I don't know what she goes to in the rankings, but I know she was number 9 before the event and making a real claim, as is Marta Kostyuk, to be in the top 8 WTA finals at the end of the year, which also hot news this week, has moved to Palm Springs. It's been announced, not going to Riyadh. With the issues of the world right now in that part of that region of the world, it has been moved to Indian Wells in November. So maybe we'll see both of those players, and maybe we'll see Makova as well. We'll certainly see whoever wins the final on Saturday. So let us know what you think on that. Switching our attention then to the doubles. We've talked about the mixed doubles, but the doubles, Marcelo Aravello, who's won the mixed doubles. He's also in the form partnership on the men's side right now, himself and Pavic. I think a team that had just were quite brilliant for so long, but hadn't won a tournament up until Queen's since May of 2025. And I think people were starting to think maybe they're going to split up. I did hear rumours this week that they might be anyway, but they certainly are the informed team, and we have a repeat of the Queen's final, as we have Aravello and Pavic against Patton and Heliovara, and they took care of business. Now, he said he was going to be late, but this man is the first man to be on time. 9:10. Gordon Reid, a big welcome. How you doing?
Thank you, mate. Cheers. Yeah, I was not sure if I was going to finish up the media there on time, but I've made it. I've made it.
This is you're the smoothest media guy that we've had the last 11 years. People have been fumbling around with links, and you've come in. And first and foremost, a big congrats. Got playing on court one today with Alfie, moving through into tomorrow's final. Tell us a little bit about that today.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, first of all, amazing to play on court one again. We've had a couple of matches there the last few years, and it's always an amazing experience to play in front of that home crowd on there. But yeah, it was a tricky match today. The guys brought a good level first set, and we were sort of trailing the whole way through until the 4-all game, where we just got our noses in front. And then I think once we got that first set in the bag, we managed to relax and dictate a little bit more of the points. So yeah, happy to get it done and not too much drama and straight sets.
And the crowd on court one will be excited tomorrow that you made it through. I know we know how that court one crowd loves your finals. It tends to just take over the whole of Wimbledon when you and Alfie are playing a final on there.
Yeah, well, the doubles finals actually Saturday morning.
Oh, is
So
it?
yeah, yeah. So I think it's 11 o'clock on court one Saturday morning. So
Okay.
yeah, so I'll have a little day of practice tomorrow. Alfie's got his singles semi final tomorrow, and then yeah, we'll be ready to go on Saturday.
So that'll be the hot ticket. Now, Gordon, when I start to read through what you've achieved, it's quite incredible. And that would take about 15 minutes just reading through what you've achieved over the
Nobody wants
last
to
few
hear that.
years. Well, I think they do, and they should, and everyone should and does know. But I believe 30 Grand Slams we could start jumping into. But I want to jump into one specific one. And we talk about, I was speaking to Mark Bullock earlier today as well, and you know, I know that you have played a massive role in bringing wheelchair tennis to Wimbledon. If we go back, I believe 2005, they did have doubles events that started, but
Yep.
the first event, 2016, where they had singles, was a special year. I remember the court 17 actually, where they played your final, which is no longer there. You can get a cup of coffee there now, and you can get a bottle of water. It's that little court in the little dip now, isn't it? And you were the first ever singles champion at Wimbledon in a sport that's growing all the time. Wimbledon seems to have been the place where that's really, really pushed on, and you're certainly going to go down in history on that. Take me back to that moment. One, of having the event at Wimbledon, and for it, to start kind of getting the visibility that it deserves. And then two, for you to come out on top as the Wimbledon champion.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to play singles here was a dream come true. It was something that we didn't know if it would ever happen, because the chairs and the movement for us is much tougher on grass as a surface, and um, there wasn't that much chat of whether singles would ever be introduced at Wimbledon. But yeah, obviously we found out we were going to be playing here 2016, and it was perfect timing for me really, because I'd won my first singles Grand Slam at the Australian Open that year. and that felt like a big weight off my shoulder. And I then went on to make singles final at the French Open that year, and then came here and feeling confident, and yeah, with all the home crowd and playing on the grass, which I love playing on. Yeah, everything just came together, and yeah, one of my best moments in my career.
And how do you prepare for a match like that? Where do you feel the weight of a match like that? The fact that it is Wimbledon, it is the first ever singles wheelchair final that's been played at Wimbledon. I guess there's that extra weight of expectation, the extra weight that you're carrying. How do you then prepare for a final like that?
Yeah, I think try not to think about that side of it too much, because, like you say, it can be a heavy weight and a big
Yeah.
distraction. But I think luckily for me, I was playing two matches on the Saturday the day before. We had the doubles final and the singles semi final. Where me and Alfie won the doubles on the Saturday. So, that was a busy day. So not too much time to stop and think about
Yeah.
what was going to happen the day after. And yeah, I guess it's
Ladies and
just as
gentlemen,
sorry.
the grounds will be closing in around 15 minutes. Please make
It's
your way
live.
to the exit
This is what
gates
happens when we're
and
live.
make sure you take all your
It's here
belongings
as
with
well.
you. We hope you've enjoyed your day here at Wimbledon and wish you a pleasant and safe journey home. Thank you.
It doesn't
There we
get any
go.
more authentic than that. Do you know what I
As proof that we're actually here.
mean?
But yeah, no. So yeah, I guess like any player before a big match, you just try and stick to your routines and processes that work and help you and keep you settled. And yeah, there was no different for that match really.
And in terms of wheelchair tennis itself, over the last 10 years since then, how do you feel it has developed? Has it developed how you'd like to? Is it getting the professionalized outlook that you want it to have? It certainly seems to me, certainly like I'm a big fan. I'm now know there's a lot more household names. It feels like we're talking. I understand the rivalries that are happening. It's in the kind of tennis speak a bit more. From someone who's been a big part of that, how's that been from your standpoint, and maybe what can be done even better to push it forward even more?
Yeah, I think you're spot on really. I mean, obviously, first and foremost, like we need to try and produce good tennis and entertaining tennis, because that's how we're going to get more people watching the sport and interested in the sport. So, that's our responsibility. And we're doing everything we can to improve our tennis ability and performances to make that happen. But then, yeah, you've obviously got the other side of it where like in any sport, and in tennis especially, those storylines, those characters, and getting to know the players themselves and what they're like and interest in them, then that builds more eyes on the sport, and gains more traction. So yeah, I think that's something that's being done much better than 10, 15 years ago. I think Wimbledon's a great example of that. The difference between, like you say, me being on court 17, and nobody really knowing it was happening, to now it's like a fixture that's on people's tickets when they're buying a
Hmm.
court one ticket for the Saturday and Sunday. It's actually on the schedule that there's going to be wheelchair matches that you're buying a ticket to go and watch. So I think that's a huge step forward for us, and Wimbledon's been a driving force with a lot of that, and they're setting a great example. And yeah, we always want to try and move things forward even more. I think we've got some big things we can improve style in our own tour, and the wheelchair only events that we play around the calendar. But the ITF are working hard on that, and hopefully we can keep moving forward with some of those events as well.
And to switch gears a little bit, Gordon, as much as I'd love to have you on for the next hour, you've got a tournament to win and prepare for, as much as anything else. It you Your media commitments are, I would imagine, pretty big, certainly around the big events. I see you appearing on many different adverts and Must be your Scottish good looks that get you on there. But it's it's even coming on and doing this during the tournament, which I'm very grateful for. There's a young British player that's kind of come out of nowhere this week, who has a semi-final in the men's singles tomorrow against Alexander Zverev, and all of a sudden going from kind of zero to hero, in the nicest possible way. What's your advice for Arthur and how to handle the kind of newfound fame and all of the kind of media commitments and everything that comes with that?
I mean, I don't think, not sure he needs any advice from me at the moment. He's on absolute fire at the moment, and it's amazing to see. I think the thing for me that's been the most impressive about Arthur's sort of 10 days or so here so far is that when he's in those moments and on the biggest stages in world tennis, he doesn't look out of place at all. He looks really comfortable and composed. And obviously, we don't know what's going on inside his head. It might be a totally different story, but he's stepped up to the plate big time in those moments. And yeah, amazing to see. I wish him all the best, obviously, for his semi. And yeah, I guess when it comes to media stuff, I mean, it's going to be on a completely different scale and level than I've ever experienced. But I think for me, the most important thing is to, listen to the people that you trust around you that have been there, through it all, through the journey, and make sure you take their advice and do the things that they think are right for you, and yeah, just to make sure that the tennis always takes the priority and not to get too carried away with all the chat that's around it.
Great advice. Are you ready for our quick fire round, our Wimbledon quick fire round?
Right, let's go.
Let's see what I'm being thrown here with questions. Let's see if we've had any. What's your best Wimbledon memory as a fan?
Oh, as a fan, I mean, I was a player that year, but that moment I was a fan. I actually got tickets to be courtside for Andy's first singles win.
Did
So
you?
I was actually in the corner. I'd finished. I was just playing doubles that year. I'd lost and earlier in the week, and I'd managed to get centre court tickets. So being courtside with my old coach Karen Ross and watching him lift the trophy.
Any tears?
I think from Karen actually. Yeah, I mean she knew Andy from a young boy. So yeah, no, that was amazing, and yeah, just to see him do the lap of honour with the trophy and everything, and be so close to the court was, yeah, that was amazing for me.
Amazing. One actually side question on that. Do you think Scottish tennis is capital when we take like the women's final is more Czechs? These bloody Czechs are just coming. Fair play to them, but they're coming from everywhere. The women's singles final is I think that's 3 or 4 years now will be won by Czech women, and we've got two in the final. Has Scottish tennis capitalised on Andy Murray and on yourself, because and Jamie, there was a big moment. Why aren't we seeing more and more Scottish players in the final like the Czechs?
Yeah, I mean, wish it was that easy, I suppose. Just having somebody from that country, be there and win it doesn't guarantee anything in the future, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, maybe not really my area of expertise, but we've got some great Scottish players that are playing at the moment. Obviously, you've got Cam, you've got Jacob, Maya was here playing in the doubles, so we've got some great, some brilliant Scottish players on the tour, and
And
um,
wheelchair tennis.
wheelchair, yeah. We don't really have any coming through at the moment. I actually had just a couple of good conversations with Blaine Dodds, who's
Yeah.
the top man at Tennis Scotland, and he's saying that they're actively looking to sort of invest more in disability tennis and wheelchair tennis, and try and create a better pathway through for new players, and try and find some more new players coming through. So yeah, hopefully I can be helping out with that in the near future, and we get that next generation of wheelchair players coming from Scotland as well.
Finish this sentence. When I think of Wimbledon, I think of.
Drop shots.
Who would you most like to play on centre court, past or present?
I think for me, probably Shingo Kuneda. He's probably the legend of men's wheelchair tennis.
Yeah.
He was the number one for in the majority of my career. So he's retired now, but yeah, I'd love to have played him here in centre court.
And if you were to get to play on centre court, what song would you walk out to?
Simply the best.
What is the single hardest shot to face on a grass court tennis? To face on a grass court in wheelchair tennis?
Probably a really fast, flat body serve.
Okay.
Because for us, it's already difficult with a body serve because you can't just take a step out of the way to create space for the racket. And obviously on the grass, if you know, it's going to shoot through even quicker. So yeah, probably that one.
Your favourite ever Wimbledon champions, and why?
Well, Roger was my hero growing up.
Yeah.
Obviously before Andy was playing, and then yeah, looked up to Andy a lot. But yeah, it's a bit of a basic answer, but can't look past Roger.
I don't think any of us can. I walk past him. I'm doing this into indoor tennis centre. It's kind of my hangout area. As coaches, this is like a little. I shouldn't say it too loud because it's like a bit of a secret spot.
Give away your secret.
Yeah, and I just love it here. It's like my own little haven when I'm at Wimbledon. But I was walking down the corridor and I was like, I recognise that voice. And he had a few people around him, and so I didn't want to stop and say anything, or can I get a picture, as much as I'd love to, you know. But
He wasn't asking you for one, though.
He certainly wasn't. I thought about asking him to come on and do 9-10 p.m. maybe Saturday night, you know, for my last podcast. But even that, just him in the corridor, just the aura he's got, just the everything about him, he's just, yeah. And so I don't blame you for saying it. What is your guilty pleasure?
Oof, guilty pleasure. Probably I got a bit of a sweet tooth, so probably just a wee pack of sweeties now and again.
What's your sweet tooth at Wimbledon?
Oh well, I'm being a good boy at the moment this week. But I have had the strawberries and cream a couple of times. That's a Wimbledon classic. You can't go wrong with that.
You cannot. And what's one thing you'd change about Wimbledon?
Well, after today, I would change the foot fault rule because I got another one today that was a mistake. So I had
tell
two.
Me, explain.
Yeah,
explain
I had two last year and on court one as well in the semi final, and one today. Whereas it's a human that's actually on the line making the calls, but they're watching the video. They're watching the video, and they're pressing a button, and they think it's the foot fault. But we got the same rule in the chairs as somebody on their feet, where you know you can be over the line, but as long as you're not touching it before you contact the ball. So I think what happened was one of my wheels like hovered over the line,
and then you go backwards.
Well, yeah, then you sort of like swivel, and then the wheel will move back before you contact, and they've made a mistake and called a foot fault, and luckily didn't change the outcome of the match today. But another moment it could. It was 15-40 at 5-3, 5-1 in the second. So yeah, quite a big point. But spoken with the referees and they've admitted it was a mistake. So hopefully they're more on it for the next one.
There you go. I like it. An insightful one as well. What would your best advice be to a young British wheelchair tennis player dreaming of playing at Wimbledon?
I think the best advice is, obviously to enjoy what you're doing, enjoy every time you step on a tennis court, and for me, an important one as well is to listen to your coach, trust their advice, and yeah, just be very very committed to the style that you want to play, and the type of tennis you want to bring to the court.
Did you meet a young boy called Austin today? Maybe not. Maybe not. I'm
not sure today.
Okay.
Possibly another day. Yeah.
Maybe yesterday. He's a young lad from Brighton area.
Yeah.
Around.
I think I've met him before. Yeah, but not today.
Absolutely inspirational young lad. I did a coaching conference a couple of weeks ago, just outside of Eastbourne, and where he trains, and he came along and we had a half an hour chat, and what a delightful young lad. I know he's kind of early stages of his tennis, and he's kind of rebounded back from obviously very, very difficult situation, losing both legs like 2 or 3 years ago. And he showed me a picture, and he won't mind me saying this. I don't know if he's listening, but he won't mind me saying this. But he goes to Brighton matches, and they've kind of really taken to him and looked after him. And he's got a Brighton shirt, and they said, "What number do you want on your back?" And he said, "I want 0." And what do you want your name to be? He said, "Legs."
I mean,
and it's just like for this 13, 14-year-old lad, to have been dealt that hand and within like we talked about my favourite quote being 10% of life's what happens to you, 90% is how you respond. There wasn't a better experience and inspiration than this young lad. And you've heard he's a skillful young boy. He's only been playing for about 10 months. But I know he was talking about how much he loves you, he loves Gordon, he loves Order, and we had a lovely chat. And when I just bumped into him, he saw me at Orangi Park, and maybe it was yesterday, and he told me he was going to be meeting you and Alfie in the afternoon, and he was just made up. But of all of my stories that I've had in tennis, genuinely, he's like inspired me almost more than anybody. So I'm going to be watching out for him, and if you do, watch out for him. I know that you're a massive inspiration. Yeah, well, I know I've told him how to play against you. So it's
giving him the tactics.
And last question, and it's we had a joke in the corridor the other day, so I think I know the answer to this. It's not a good question to ask a Scotsman, but who's gonna win the World Cup?
Tell you what, England have got a very good chance, don't they? they got a very good chance. It's hard to call, really. I mean, my tournament finished a long time ago. Feels like I think I'm going to say England are going to win it. That's my prediction.
Mbappe's just missed a penalty for France in the 28th minute against Morocco. So
there we go.
He's no Harry Kane, is he?
Well, yeah.
He's no Stephen Fletcher.
He didn't get to retake it, no.
Gordon Reid, you're a legend. Thank you so much for your time. Good luck, and yeah, keep inspiring, keep going and getting those titles. Next time I speak to you, I want to be talking about 40, not 30 Grand Slams. Come on, mate, you can do better.
Good. I'll try my best. But no, thanks for having me on, and thanks for all your support of wheelchair tennis as well. We appreciate it.
Top man, Gordon. Good luck. There we go, guys. Gordon Reid,
Cheers.
What an absolute legend of the sport, given his time to come and speak to us. So a massive thank you to him. We were just finishing off before he came on talking about our player of the day, Linda Noskova, women's singles finalist on Saturday after winning 6-4, 6-4 today against Marta Kostyuk. And our last segment of the day, just a couple of questions, trying to keep it to 2 a day. I know there's been a few more coming in, but 2 a day. We got one here from Peter Haley. Hi, Dan. How is the team feeling going into tomorrow's semi-final? And he's talking about Gabby Dabrowski, Louisa Stefani, who I'm coaching alongside the amazing Guy. And yeah, they're good. They're good. It's I think they're feeling great. I think they're very grateful for the opportunity of they're playing on court 1 tomorrow at 1 p.m. The sun is shining in Wimbledon. They're both feeling fit and healthy, feeling good about their tennis, and what better treat to have on a Friday afternoon than playing at court 1 at Wimbledon. Hopefully there'll be a great crowd out there. And I think they're in a really, really nice place, and I just hope they are able to go out there and enjoy, embrace whatever situations come their way. I have no doubts that they will. I have a lot of belief in them, and I'm excited to watch a lot of good tennis. And as our philosophy goes, just try and get a bit better. So yeah, please, anyone that's there, please I want to hear you nice and loud cheering for Gabby Dabrowski, Louisa Stefani, and all the kind messages that are coming through on that. Thank you very much. And last question, it's a food question again. We've obviously talked a lot about strawberries and cream over the last 11 days. Susan Greenwood, what's been my favourite food item at Wimbledon this year, except strawberries and cream? It's the answer that's too obvious. What has the favourite food item at Wimbledon this year been? But you know what? It's give them a bit of a shout out. Sticks and sushi in Wimbledon. It's not at Wimbledon. We've the girls, Gabby and Louise, have both won vouchers at Queen's Club, so they've kindly treated us to that a couple of nights, and I must admit that was very nice. And I guess on the sushi theme, it's a bit of a tennis the thing that tennis players that's become or certain, maybe not tennis players, but tennis tournaments. There's two things that are kind of everywhere nowadays, and I must admit I like them a lot, which is why I need to keep going to the gym a bit more. Is the sushi? You know, sushi's like staple diet for tennis players. Good carbs, good protein. You know, good snack. You know, get it in here, and they do pretty good sushi here. And then the other one is Oakberry, the acai bowls. They're doing them this year, and that's something that I need to be careful on them because I think they're quite high in sugar, but they taste so good. But they do have a bit of an insight. You're not normally I like in my Oakberry, I like to have a bit of peanut butter, but for I don't know why. I don't know whether it's like Wimbledon's the only place in the world that you can get a nut allergy, but they don't have not allow peanut butter at Wimbledon because of people's nut allergies. Which that's not me downplaying a nut allergy, but obviously you can buy peanut butter in most places in the world, and people just have to be obviously careful with the allergy. So it is missing the peanut butter and maybe the protein powder. It's not kind of the true Oakberry that we get when we're in the States, but it is very good as well. So I think I'd say those two. And I'm hoping that later in the week it'll be the answer to that will be a Pimm's or two that I'm hoping we're going to finish when we finish the tournament. Win or lose, I'm sure we'll have a couple of Pimm's and celebrate everything that has happened over the last couple of weeks on the court and also off the court, and with the podcast, which is we've loved doing this every day and loved all of the fantastic responses. We have 3 more days to go. The aim is to try and bring you alive every day up until the end of the event. So look out for tomorrow. We'll be talking about who our men's singles finalists and women's doubles finalists are. Are we going to have a British man in the final? Let's see. But until next time, I'm Dan Kiernan, and we are Control the Controllable.